Hi everyone. Today we're going to be looking at word formation. Words are made up of stems, prefixes, and suffixes. And today we're going to be learning how stems, prefixes, and suffixes can help you expand your knowledge of words and use them to understand unfamiliar words. We're going to be looking at what a prefix, stem, and suffix is. Basically, we start with the stem, we can add a prefix, and we can add a suffix. We call these the three building blocks. If we look at some examples, for example, if we take the word disappearance, you know the word disappearance. It's made up of a prefix, dis, the stem appear, and the suffix ance, disappearance. Or the word reconstruction, reconstruction, to build again. Unrecognizable, unrecognizable, able meaning can. We can't recognize it. So by using the stem, a prefix, and a suffix, we can understand words. Let's see how it works. If we start with the stem, we're starting with what we call the basic or core meaning of the word. In fact, in English there are many stem words. Stem words are sort of like roots in Hebrew or in Arabic, and we use them to build new words. Many stems in English come from Greek and Latin, and that's a whole another story that we're not going to get into today. But we're going to be looking at the stem and seeing what happens when we add a prefix or a suffix. So let's look at some common stems. In fact, there are a lot of words there, or stems, that you know. For example, odd, to hear. You all know what the word audio means, or audience. It comes from the stem odd and the suffix ence, audience. Or the stem bene, which means good, like benefits. Or the word port. You all know the word port, to carry. That's the basic core meaning, or to move something. For example, we talk about transport or transportation, or a port that we move things from one place to the other. Or the word senses. We all have senses, we feel things, or sensory. Or we can take the word vis, V-I-S or V-I-D. It shows us the core meaning is see. So we have visuals, or we have video. And we have psych for the word psychology, which relates to our mind. And of course, what everybody doesn't like is dent, which means teeth, and we go to the dentist. So we can see that these common stems, that we have many words, and you can look and you can see that there are many words that you do know that have these stems. If you want to know more, you can look here. We're not going there, but you can go on your own. Now we want to stop and take a look and see what do prefixes and suffixes do. So if we look first at prefixes, prefixes usually change the meaning of a word. For example, we have the word pleasant or unpleasant, un meaning not. The party was pleasant or the party was unpleasant. Or we have the word active or interactive. Active, we can be on our own. Inter, we're active with others, between. Suffixes are a little bit different. They're more grammatical, and they usually change the part of speech. So we have pleasant or pleasantly. The day was pleasant, and we all played together pleasantly. Or act and active. He acted very nicely. He was very active. If we look at prefixes we can categorize into groups of meanings. We have those that are negative or positive. We have prefixes that relate to size, prefixes that relate to location, and prefixes that relate to time and order, as well as numbers. So if we can learn some of these prefixes and understand that they relate to these ideas or categories, then we can use them when we're trying to figure out a meaning of a word that may not be familiar. Let's take a look. So here we have a chart that gives us prefixes that are positive or negative. You can see we have a lot more negative ones than positive ones. And many of them you already know. That's because the core meaning is often positive and we use the prefix to make it negative. So on and in and im and ill and ear and all mean not, and non, or miss or mal. Miss, mistake. That's easy to remember. Misdirect, misunderstand. Dis, it makes it the opposite. Agree, disagree. Connect, disconnect. Anti is also against. Anti-glare, it's against glare. De makes something smaller or makes it go back. Demagnetize or decode. Under, something that's too little. Underestimate. And then we have those that are more positive in their connotation. To read, do again, reorganize. Or over, overload, overeat. That's always good. So that we look at these and we can see that they have categories of meaning. Our next group relates to size. Semi, equi, mini, micro, macro, mega. You already know most of these. So if we add them to a word, mini, mini computer. Micro, microcomputer. You already know those. Equa, equal, equidistance. Mega, everyone goes to Mega to buy lots and lots of things. It's a great giant store. So we have megabyte or megamania, lots of different things. So we look at size as a concept. The other thing we can look at is location, where things are in relation to something else. So we have inter, between, interface, interactive, international, intra, within, intranet, or super, supersonic, superpower, Superman, trans, to go across, transmit, transfer. X is out, in is inside. We all know an X is out, right? Extra is beyond, extraordinary, extra special. Sub means under or below. Submarine, subschema. Infra, below. Infrared, infrastructure. Peri is around, peripheral. So many of these words you already know. You know the prefixes and you know the core meaning, so you put it together. Some of our prefixes relate to time and order. For example, ante and pre, before. Prefix, pre-reading. Prime meaning first. Post is after. Retro, retroactive. And of course all those fashions that have become very, very retro, which means just to go back in time or go back in some way. And then we have numbers. Mono, bi, tri, quad, penta, hex, sept, oct, dect. All of these are numbers, and we have multi, which is many, and semi, which is half. So again, many of these you already know. Triangle, three angles. Quadruple, four adding. Penta, meaning five, the pentagon or a penthouse. 7, September. 8, octo, or octopus, or October. And then we have a few others that are not necessarily in a specific category. For example, pro is before. So you all know about promos, that comes before. So we have a program in progress. Auto, which is self. Automatic, autobiography. Co or con is together, to coordinate, to connect. And we put these together with our stems, and again we have new words. Now let's take a look at suffixes. Suffixes are different because they change the grammar of the word. They can make it a noun or a verb or an adverb or an adjective. Let's take a look and see how this works. Now if we look first of all at noun forming suffixes, we see that we have all these different suffixes, and we have, it should say suffix up there, not prefix. We have the examples, and we also have meaning, because the suffixes that change meaning, that change it from a word into a noun, also have meaning. So if we look at state or quality of, or shun, the act of, and the person who does something, program, programmer, operate, operator. And we can go through each one of these and begin to see what their different meaning is. So when you look at a word, remember to look at the ending, look at the suffix. What does that tell you about the word? We can also have suffixes that turn words into verbs. And again here, that should say suffix up there. Copy paste mistake, it happens. So we have computer, computerize. Automate, activate, calculate. Phi, simplify, exemplify. Or N, harden or widen. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4 suffixes that are really good to pay attention to, because there's only 4, and if we see that at the end of the word as a suffix, then we know that it's a verb. Ly changes it to an adverb, electronically, logically, comparably, helpfully, hopefully. And adjectives. Again, adjectives also have some meaning, and again here it should say suffix, and we can see how all of these have meaning as well. So when we have al or ar or ik or ickle, it says the quality of, or able, can, capable, comparable, we can compare it. Divisible, we can divide it. Ous or ful, it shows us that it's full of danger, dangerous, helpful, full of help. Less, without, he's careless, without any care. Ish, yellowish, bluish. And ed or iv gives us, it also has the quality, interactive, computed. So now we've gone through it all, and we can stop and say we can use these prefixes and suffixes to help us to understand a word that we don't know. Once we've taken it apart, put it together just like those blocks, we have to stop and ask ourselves, do I now understand the word? Put the word back into the context. Does it make sense? If it makes sense, then we can go on. But if you're not sure, it's always a good idea to go back and check it in a dictionary. So, you ready for the challenge? If we look at this word, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, any idea what part of speech this is? Any idea what it means? If you're not sure and if you can't figure it out, just click here and all will be revealed. So to sum up, we can stop and say, why do we need to learn this? Because learning is more than just remembering. English has 250,000 words, and it's growing every day. I don't think anyone can ever remember 250,000 words. But there are many different things that we can do when we see a word. We can take it apart, we can look at its stem, we can look at its prefix, we can look at its suffix. And by using all of those different things, we can figure out what we're looking at. We can make sense of it. We're analyzing and putting things together and not remembering. So when we look at this pyramid, we can see that it helps us become better learners if we're able to use these various things. So now it's your turn to go out, and before you grab that dictionary or head off to Morphix or Google Translate, to stop for a minute and think, okay, what do I know? I know a lot more than I think I know. And take the word apart, look for its stem, look for its prefix, look for its suffix, and then say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.